Frank ranks week 33. We have Marvel, we have DC, we have Independence. Who's going to be on top? Let's talk about these 11 comics right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanca, an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we're going to jump into these 11 comics right now and see what ranks first, or 11 to 1. And again, we have Marvel, we have DC, and we have some independents here. So let's jump right into number 11. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. I'm going to be recording this on Sunday, so you won't even see this till Monday. But anyway, let's check number 11. And this is actually an independent. This is one of the few times that Marvel is not on the bottom. So this is an independent book. And I started watching the movie, but I got screwed up with it. But let's check it out right now. It's Sonja Reborn, based on Red Sonja. Let's see if I can get that glare out of there. And so yeah, I was praying they were never going to release that movie. The actress did not even look like Red Sonja, and I bought it for $10. And I started it, and I didn't realize it was only 48 hours, and then it disappeared. You had to buy it over again. So I only got like 15 minutes into it. It was pretty bad, but now I wasted $10 on it. And now to watch it, I have to do it again. I never buy those movies. That's why I never. It's unusual for me to do that. It might get $20 out of me, which is awful. But anyway, this is practically unreadable. I think it's Christopher Priest. It's something Priest. That wrote this thing, and I've been collecting Red Sonja like forever from Dynamite, but some of the titles I buy one, it's awful. I was really hoping that the Thor and Grumbuck one was going to be good. Started out good and went complete trash. She's the kind of writer that starts something and then she loses track of herself as time goes on. She's probably really good with a one-shot. But anyway, this guy is even worse. At least that one was about Red Sonja. This isn't even about Red Sonja. This is about a woman named Margaret who is chasing around, or came from England to chase around this other woman that had an affair with her boyfriend or whatever named Justin. And she falls through this thing, kind of like a rabbit hole. She even makes a Alice in Wonderland comment, and she ends up inhabiting Red Sonja's body. I can't understand it. I mean, how do you come up with that going, yeah, this is a good idea. No, I'm ready. People buy this to read Red Sonja. People don't read this to have Maggie come into Red Sonja's body. That's the stupidest thing ever. And if they're going to do a body swap, then we should re-see Red Sonja in the, in England or it was the United States. But, she should have been inhabiting Maggie's body. There's no, she just pops in there. And some of the dialogue is awful. It's practically unreadable. It's just awful. But I guess the other woman that she was chasing, Sky, that's her name, ended up at the same place because she ends up being captured. I don't know. And she recognized her, which is even more weird. Didn't she inhabit somebody else's body? Why was she recognizable? It made no sense. Stay away from this. It's horrible. I guess I won't be collecting Red Sonja for a little bit. It died once during Grumbuck's finished. They didn't. This is the first time they released something with Red Sonja, and I'm gonna skip it. Okay, so number 10. Now we're getting into DC. So Marvel's got a reprieve here. So we got this is Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong 2, number 4. I generally like this series, but this one took a turn for me that I did not care for. So I think the next one will be better. But for me, this particular issue was not good. So Flash has a head injury, and for some reason, the artist is putting the bandage on the outside of his mask, which makes no sense. What is it holding? What is it? So the wound is inside the mask, and the bandage is on the outside of the mask. It makes no friggin' sense whatsoever. If there was a hole in the mask with the bandages where you could see it, well, that's one thing. But to have it on the out, it's just retarded. It's just retarded. And in the previous issues, Waller is creating a serum to make people grow so that they can fight against Godzilla and King Kong, which is cool because they had Killer Croc, who was not human. They had King Shark, who was not human. So it actually looked pretty cool. I liked it. But with this one, they end up doing it with Superman, and his clothes grow. You know, it's one thing with like Ant-Man, you know, where it's the entire thing. But this is not. It's a serum. So your clothes wouldn't grow if you were drinking a serum. It was stupid. And then he got stupid because he ended up, his brain didn't function as well. And but anyway, he fights Godzilla as if he's big, and it was a bad idea. And the beginning dialogue with Flag, it's not really Flag, but that's what he's got the same position. And Waller is dead. I don't know how that works. But he has a conversation with Lex. But at the very end, after his fight with Godzilla, we had King Ghidorah and I think Rodan coming. So that's why I think the next issue will be better. But yeah, this one wasn't very good. So keep my fingers crossed that it'll get better next time. Okie dokie, going on to number 9. And another DC book. I had mostly DC, that's why. So it's a percentage. But Marvel they're still doing all right. I have 2 Marvel books in here. All right, and that is Green Lantern by my buddy Jeremy Adams. So and this is not really his fault. I've never ever been a fan of. This was Jeff Johns' creation of the animals or the avatars that are in the lanterns. I've just never been a fan of that. And that's what all this whole issue is about, is these animals that are in the source wall, and the Starbreakers or whatever else, these giant guys that also have their own rings, are on the outside. They take the Green Lantern and his whole team take the ship from the animated series into the source wall, where they're connecting with all of these avatars that are all, fear and will and rage and all this other stuff. And of course they're, physically, affecting them. And once in one panel you had Sinestro that wasn't even colored. He was Caucasian. That was weird, instead of being pink skinned. But anyway, so I was good to see Ava in there, which was the AI from the ship from the animated series. It was cool to see her. But anyway, so they end up getting out of the source wall, riding these things, and they need to cut off the hands of the Starbreakers so they can't use their rings. So they're just lobbing off limbs. He and Hal and Sinestro lob off a limb of each one of the Starbreaker guys. Not a good issue as far as I'm concerned. It kind of lost its way. I'm kind of hoping he gets back on track. Plus, this is going back and forth between Green Lantern Corps, which I don't collect, for 3 issues. So every other issue, I'm going to be missing something because I'm not buying an extra book for this storyline. It's not happening. All right, jumping into number 8. Another DC book. Although I got to say, when I get to really issue 6, and on, they're all really good. Even number 7, the next one, all those are pretty good. I really have no complaints with them. It's just preference. Okay, so number 8 is Cheetah and Cheshire rob the Justice League. I love Greg Rucka. I'm not really loving this, unfortunately. It's got issues with the storyline. First of all, they're trying to go and steal a box in the satellite. What's the Justice League? Not the Justice League Tower. It's the space station. So they're trying to go up there to steal a box that somehow has all the powers of the Justice League in one box. First of all, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why would they keep all their powers in one box? And how did they remove their powers or duplicate them to put them in a box? It makes no sense. Sorry, can I have your Kryptonian DNA and put it in this box? And Batman, can I have all of your knowledge? It makes no sense. Zatanna, can I have your magic? And we'll just stick it in a box. It makes absolutely no sense. Green Lantern, can I just have an extra ring I can just throw in here? It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. The artwork is good though, but here Cheetah and Cheshire, have they had a long-term relationship as friends that I don't know about? Because Cheetah has a nickname for Cheshire's daughter. She calls her Slick. Has she been having dinner over there continuously when she's not in Arkham? I don't know what's going on. It's all this is just weird. I feel like I'm reading an Elseworlds book where there's stuff I just missed somewhere. And then they go off to recruit people to be thieves with them, and they're recruiting people like Clarion, I know, but he's the little sorcerer boy. But the other ones, I'm just like, did you just make up people for this? Because I've never heard of these people. So instead of him grabbing, obscure characters like Suicide Squad, like these Suicide Squad, the movie that James Gunn did, where, some of those people were made up. But he picked like Polka Dot Man and stuff like that. He chose obscure people. Instead of doing that, I feel like he's just making up people. It's not really working for me, unfortunately. I like the first issue, even though the whole box thing threw me off. But I think it's just getting worse, unfortunately. Okay, jumping in to number 7. So I read this digitally, and that is Universal Monsters Invisible Man. It's another independent book. I think it's IDW. This is the Claude Rains Invisible Man from the 40s and 45 maybe. I'm not sure what year it was. But anyway, so this is the setup to having him, what's really motivating him and how he's making these little discoveries with invisibility, and how he's a little bit mad right off the bat. So it's basically a setup issue, which is why, and the artwork is only okay, which is why it's a little bit further down this list, because it wasn't really an action-packed thing or anything like that. It's just there to do setup. So it was okay. Let's see what happens in the next issue. All right, and this was another DC book. So this was a debut issue. This is number 6. Number 6! And I think everybody kind of agrees from what I was watching when I was watching Think Critical this weekend. And he also Wes gave me a shout out for Fairy Tales of Terror, which I really appreciate. So this is Batman #1 by Matt Fraction. Jorge Jimenez is doing the art. I think everybody agrees that the art was really good, and that Chip Zdarsky really dropped the ball and screwed up Batman and his whole run. Everybody was very happy when that run ended. So now we're jumping into a new #1 here. and he's connected to what Chip Zdarsky was doing in the previous run. So he's going to have to start correcting that. Plus, we had Tom King kill off Alfred, so he has Alfred in here as like an AI hologram or whatever else, which I like that. You know, I would think that Batman would be lonely, you know, without Alfred, and him kind of creating his own little Alfred to chat with him. And it would make sense, too, that he would capture the essence during their time together. If anything happened, that he would be, you know, his personality would be cloned or whatever into the computer. So it would make sense that he would have that. But anyway, so this is more about Killer Croc, him reverting to a child mentally, and him having the conversation with the doctor who thinks that everybody can change because, look, he says he's a criminal, blah, blah. So he ends up tracking him down, even though he ends up stopping these guys from beating up these girls or whatever else. They had scissors or whatever else in the park. These girls are running from it. He just mows them down with his car. He runs them over with a Batmobile. He doesn't kill any of them, apparently, because they run away. But I don't know. Running into somebody at 50, 60 miles an hour is going to do some major fucking damage where you're not going to be able to run away. But anyway, they run away, and he ends up finding Killer Croc in this zoo or whatever. It had butterflies, so it was some kind of an abattoirum or whatever. And he ends up taking off his mask, which some people in the panel had a problem with. But he just sits down next to him and he starts chatting with him, knowing that he won't remember, what his face looks like because his mind is so melted. And then they just come and pick him up. So that's the basic storyline. But now we have Tim Drake Robin in here. Weird choice, because of all the Robins, Tim Drake has been destroyed. So unless they're trying to rebuild him back up, because ever since they, destroyed his relationship with Spoiler and totally changed his sexuality for no reason whatsoever, his relationship with Spoiler is what made him different. And they just destroyed the character. Is irredeemable at this point. So I don't know why they chose that Robin as opposed to Damian, but I guess we'll see. And it's got the same old tired storyline that Commissioner Gordon is now a beat cop, whatever. Vandal Savage is now the commissioner, which is kind of stupid. And they're chasing Batman because, of course, Batman is Vandal Savage's one of his arch nemesis or whatever, nemesis. So we'll see what this goes. This is basically a setup issue, but I hear that they're gonna do he's gonna do one shots. It's a complete story with like a B line, a B storyline going through it. So let's see how it does. But this one's only okay. But it was way better than Chip Zdarsky's run right off the bat. All right. So before we keep going on to the final 5, remember to give me that like, give me that thumbs up if you can. If you can subscribe, please do. Ring that bell, ding, ding. Share this video out there so people that don't collect comics can see what's going on. And also remember, too, that I'm a writer myself, so check out my stuff on Amazon. Just type my name in, or there's a link in the description below. And on top of that, you can check out my 4-novel quadrilogy while you're on there, called Destiny Aurora. It was turned into a board game, an RPG, and a graphic novel. It is an epic space adventure, so if you're a fan of Star Wars or Star Trek or even Guardians of the Galaxy, Serenity, any of those things, it's a space adventure, so you're going to love it if you're a fan of any of those things. And and then the Audible's pretty cool too. Has a male and female voice. It's lots of fun. You can definitely check that out there. All my books are also on Kindle, including my YA fantasy book, Tales of Ravenor, the Iron Witch. So if you're a fan of Game of Thrones or Tolkien or whatever, you're going to love that. It's got a magic system. We got dragons. We got people riding stuff. It's awesome. So definitely check that out. And then my new comic finally released. We've been in our first week, just completed. and we are fully funded. It's called Fairy Tales of Terror. I got a Psycho Cinderella. I got a killer Captain Hook killing people going through New York City. They came out of the novels, and I have them being chased through New York streets by Tiger Lily from Neverland because they're off on a mission that we don't know what the mission is yet, but that's all going to be revealed. It's going to be lots of fun, and we, like I said, we're fully funded, and we've already unlocked a couple of stretch goals already. We are about $250 from completing the 5,500 stretch goal, where I have a little miniature of Psycho Cinderella that I'm going to be giving to everybody as an STL so they can print them out. Anyway, it's going to be awesome, and definitely check that out. QR code is here, or the link in the description below. All right, let's jump back into number 5. But this is my first novel, my first Marvel book here in this lineup, and again, these were all really good. I even think Batman's good. It was just matter of taste at this point. And that is Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu, number 12 by Jed MacKay. This is the only book that Jed MacKay can write, because currently he's writing Avengers and X-Men, and they're all really bad. Really bad. I had to drop them. They were so bad. He doesn't know how to write a ensemble book, like a team book. Where here this is a single character with other characters, supporting characters around it. So here, I thought we were going to be done with the whole psychiatrist thing, but we're not. He's back to the psychiatrist again. But anyway, he's telling her about his meeting with Wrecker, and Wrecker has a magic crowbar, but he's a villain too, from the Wrecking Crew, and he has come to Moon Knight for help, and he's being haunted. Okay, so Moon Knight comes to actually help him. He says, screw it, I'm going to help him. There is a loyalty thing there. Even though we paid him and technically we owe him nothing, I'm still going to help him. So anyway, he ends up he has like the face of Khonshu, so like the bird face. He has like a mask of it. I thought that was pretty cool too, which is basically what's on the cover. And he borrows the crowbar and is fighting all these ghosts that are coming out. And then Red Scarab comes in and says, what are you doing? This is revenge for all of the lives that Wrecker has taken. And that's where it ends. So let's see where it goes from here. But Jed MacKay, he makes this thing fresh, for sure. It's not, I'm still disappointed that the Asgardian from the last run, the last arc, didn't get caught. And he's running around, They should have caught him at least, and he could have escaped. But, he's still running around, and Moon Knight isn't even worried about going to catch him. So, whatever. Okay, another Marvel book. So 2 Marvels back to back. Oh, I actually have 3 Marvels. Okay, this is only the second. There's actually another one. And that is number 4 is Star Wars Dr. Aphra. The regular Star Wars book by Alex Segura is horrible. The Jedi Knight one is decent by Guggenheim. This one is by Cherish Chen. And I was worried about it because the last run was like practically unreadable by the end of it. And this is kind of breathed some new life into it. Again, she's doing like one-shots. But the problem is there's no through line. There's no B through line. And I think that's detrimental to the book. So this is where she teams up with Han because she is working for the Republic. Basically, they have blackmailed her into working for them as getting relics that are like Jedi relics and things like that. So this is another adventure with them going on, and I guess the creature from Solo, which I think they killed that, but it's like an eel looking thing. There's another one, and they go to make a deal with that to get this artifact that has like good luck, and they're giving it back to the people that it came from originally before it was stolen. And he wants to be on good graces. This boss wants to be in good graces with the Republic, so he's going to return this thing. And then he finds when they get there, there's like a speck on it or something like that. And he goes, "Oh my God! You put your fingerprint on it!" And he eats the he eats his henchman. I thought that was a bit strange, but I thought that was cool. So anyway, they discover the whole reason that Afra's there is to make sure it's real, and she says it's not. So of course they go through, they excuse themselves, and they go through all of these, air vents. Of course, you can always crawl through all the air vents. And they get into his quarters. Now, how they knew exactly where his quarters were, I have no idea. But anyway, they find his quarters, and they open the safe, and they find this thing, and they're the real one. And then they bring it back, and they say, "Okay, time to leave." And they're with this other couple there that are aliens from whatever, the original race or whatever, and they pull guns on them. So they're like, "No, we're taking it for ourselves." So, and then all hell breaks loose, and so it was pretty cool. It was like a switcheroo back and forth, who was going to get the end result, and that kind of thing. And but again, it's lacking. What's going to link this to the next issue? Nothing. So it should link it in some way, where there's some kind of a through line. But overall, it's pretty good. I like it. Okay, number 3. Got to the final 3 here. And I have a DC in my hand. And that is Absolute Wonder Woman. I think everybody kind of agreed, because I don't read any of the others. I never read Superman, Absolute Superman. But I have read Absolute Batman #1. It just wasn't for me. But this is the only one I've been continuing with. I didn't even bother with Absolute Green Lantern, Absolute Flash, and I know everybody thinks that Absolute Martian Manhunter is great. I have no interest. But since I'm a big Wonder Woman fan, and the main title by Tom King is horrid, except for the art. The only reason I kept reading it was because of the art was so great. But the story, he can't even write. But as far as I'm concerned, he's all over the freaking place. And unfortunately, James Gunn thinks he's, jacks off to the guy, thinks he's the best writer that ever lived. And that's why he's basing the Supergirl movie on one of his books that I hear is bad. It's basically, what's the, one of the movies, I forgot the name of the movie, the Western, that it's based on, with the Duke in it. Oh, I forgot the name of it. But anyway, so this is, I like how she is continuing with the Greek mythology, which has been lacking in Wonder Woman since Rucka. So it was even before Rucka. I think it was Rucka. But this has Ferdinand back in it, and he's a Minotaur. So she's in the maze, finding all of... there's supposed to be another Amazonian there. Because remember, she didn't grow up in Themyscira, so she had never seen another Amazon. So she's trying to find this Amazon, but there's another woman that's controlling all these people that she's fighting against, and she's keeping all these people captive inside the thing. Now, where are they eating and everything? I have no idea. But she says, "Yeah, I can." She says, "Are you telling?" The Amazonian says, "Are you telling me you can get us out of here with like a portal?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "That's the best thing I've ever heard." But anyway, she ends up fighting this other woman, and her sword gets dropped down, but then she ends up getting it in like a liquid form or whatever else. It's pretty good. The artwork, I do not like Sherman's art at all. It doesn't match this at all. I can't wait for them to replace him if they ever do. But he's the only thing bringing this down, because Kelly Thompson, there's like certain writers that can write one character better than anything else. Like I read her 50 issue Captain Marvel, and some of them were just horrific. But it was, I'm a fan of Captain Marvel unlike anybody else. And I read them all the way through, and some of them were like completely unreadable. Some of them were okay. I don't think any of them were ever great. But here, she knows she gets Wonder Woman, so great. If I can't read the regular title, at least I have this. All right, number 2, and that is Marvel, all the way up at number 2. That's crazy. And that is Emma Frost, the White Queen. I really like what Amy Chu is doing here. So I have Cheris Chen and Amy Chu. I got to keep those separated. But she's bringing this back to like the 80s type X-Men, where Emma Frost is a villain. And she has a mole in her operation. Sebastian Shaw is sending her out to find the identity, even though it's literally the Black Queen and her assistant. So literally all she has to do is turn around and she finds the mole. But here she is going, to all over the different countries and trying to track this thing down. And, she ends up going to this guy and who does not want to see her. And she's pretending, like, in her mentally, she's making herself seem like other superheroes to fight these guards. And she's literally going thwip, thwip, as if she's Spider-Man. They're like, oh my God, it's Spider-Man! And they like their arms are being attached to the bookcases and stuff like that as if there was webbing. I thought that was really cool. But anyway, so she ends up bonding with the mother, and she's like, yeah, he's going to call Sebastian right now. So she's basically on the run at this point, and she goes to the airport, and she has the ticket person give her tickets for like the every flight leaving within the hour, so they have no idea how to track her. It's pretty cool. I really like where it shows she's very smart and stuff like that, and she was captured at one point. She escapes. But yeah, I like this series. All right, number 1. What can it be? Okay, it's DC. I gave it away. Well, we already knew it was either going to be an independent or DC because Marvel already had 3. And that is Superman by Joshua Williamson. This has been a really, really good run with him so far. He hasn't dropped the ball yet. And I do have a little bit of an issue here with this storyline, but we'll go into that in a second. But this is about the dark side has their own legion. So Superman in one of in lore went into the future and hung out with the Legion of Superheroes, and she had a Legion ring and everything else. That was a whole Superboy thing. So when he was kind of training himself. So I guess every once in a while he goes into the future and hangs with them. So he did that, except they were corrupted by Darkseid, so they were all evil. And he ended up fighting 2 of them. And then Time Trapper, which is Doomsday, but thinner. Went on a diet. I don't know. That's a heavy diet, man. So he ends up going to where Superboy Prime is, who is basically a villain. And he says, no, I'm going to help you, but I'm turning over a new leaf, all this stuff. And I should have seen the twist coming. But my problem is that he's already in the future, and now it's a multiverse. So we have a multiverse in the future. I mean, can you throw any more shit into it? So anyway, he goes in there, and then there's a whole bunch of different legions fighting one another from multiverses. Too confusing, man. Way too confusing of trying to keep track of the future and multiverses. But anyway, it's all battlefield full of dead ones. And, but anyway, so he ends up, going to battle the Darkseid Legion, or one of them. And Superboy Prime turns on him, which I should have seen that coming. I should. If you can't beat him, join him, he says. But I didn't see it coming. So it wasn't a surprise when I turned the page. So let's see where this goes. But this has been really good. If you're not collecting Superman, you should definitely do it. If you're a Superman fan, if you like the movie and stuff like that, this has been a really, really good run. I think they have collected stuff of it for the last, because he's been on this thing for probably 15 issues now. So you could probably go back and get some of the other stuff was really good. Anyway, I've been talking about comics for too long, so I'm going to close this up. But thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Remember to give me that like, give me that thumbs up if you can. If you can't subscribe, please do. Ring that bell, ding, ding. Share this video out there. Check out my stuff on Amazon. Just type my name in. Link description below if you can't do that. And jump into Fairy Tales of Terror. I think you guys are going to love it. And artwork is great. I have some really great covers. We're already funded. Come get some free stuff. We're going to unlock some more stretch goals. I got 3 more weeks. But jump in now while you can, so help us unlock that. QR code is right here. Link in the description below. And thank you so much for all of your support. And you guys have an awesome week. All right, bye-bye.